Hi everyone, today we are looking at the Marvel Legends Stiltman BAF Wave Into the Spiderverse Peter B. Parker action figure. So here's a quick look at the front of the box. The Spiderverse logo on the front as well as the top of the box. Down the sides you see the artwork of Peter B. Parker from the movie. Onto the back, more of the same artwork as well as the character description with the other action figures of the wave. Moving on to the other side, the same reflected artwork of Peter Parker. So let's go ahead and get him open. So here's the action figure laid out in the tray. He's got two pairs of alternate hands, an alternate head sculpt with a mask on top, a soda cup, and a Stiltman BAF headpiece. A quick look at the BAF piece. It's casted in a metallic looking plastic with two antennae, smirk expression on his face, paint in the eyes and his skin tone for his face. And I'll take a more detailed look when I assemble the BAF and do a review for it. So Peter's main accessory is a soda cup. It's casted in a white plastic. It's a blue and yellow paint for the rubber bands that go around the cup. The sculpted detail on the top of the cup is really impressive. You can see the cover of the cup nicely sculpted, as well as the bendy straw with the ribs in the bend over here. The straw is made of a flexible plastic, so there's no real worry of having it break. And Peter has one flesh tone gripping hand and he holds the cup well enough. Peter's swappable head comes with a smirk expression, looking ready to spring into action. Very sharp paint applications for the eyebrows and the eyes, as well as the hair that goes down the sides and the back of his head peeking out from below the mask. He's sculpted with a Spider-Man mask rolled up, and you can see the very distinct and sharply painted Spider-Man eyes over here. They sculpted some recessed web lines, but they are not colored in. And moving to the back of the head, nice folded sculpting over here to show the rolls in the fabric. Overall, a nice bunch of details included on this head. Just a little disappointed that Hasbro didn't color in the web lines. And it's easy to pop off his head and swap on the spare head. Looking pretty neat with the extra head. It comes with a pair of web shooting hands, sculpted entirely in red plastic and sculpted with the web lines on. Again, the web lines are not drawn in, and the same red plastic fist with web lines sculpted on. And the hands are easy to swap on for some web shooting action or getting ready for a fist fight. Let's take a closer look at his sculpt. A very distinctive, lazy, sheepish expression on his face. Sharply printed eyebrows and the eyes. He's also got this paint mark on his forehead. I suppose that's just to add some texturing to his face. Very finely printed lips as well. And he's also given a 5 o'clock shadow. His hair sculpt is pretty nice as well. Parting on the side and mostly messy on the top and the front. And this overhang over here really adds some bit of character to him. Really pleased with the overall head sculpt and slacker expression on his face. Moving on to his torso. His trench coat is nicely sculpted and painted. Details for the gold buttons as well as on the pockets. Overall very nice stuff. Silver paint for the zips. There might be a subtle black wash on his coat. I'm not too sure about that, but the sculpt itself actually manages to catch the light really well, so you can see all the detailing on him, including all the rolls in the fabric, making for a very convincing look for a well-worn coat. Onto the figure's torso itself. Peter's got a dad bod with a less muscular chest and a small belly. The spider suit is also sculpted over here with web lines, but again the web lines are not drawn in. The spider logo though, very sharply sculpted and painted with no bleeding at all, so I'm quite impressed with this. Also hits of blue paint on the sides of the spider suit, again very sharply painted, so that's great as well. Let's go ahead and remove the coat to have a better look at the back of his torso. Now the back of the torso also has a sculpted spider suit on. However, Hasbro has decided not to paint the back of the suit blue to save on the paint applications. It would have been great if they also painted the back of the suit blue, but the main look of this figure is with a trench coat on, so it's not such a big deal. Also very nice sharp sculpt for the web lines, the spider logo, and more web lines over here on the waist. Moving on to his lower torso, he's wearing a pair of sweatpants so you can see the band over here on his waist. A little bit of rolls in the fabric just to show the softness in the pair of sweatpants. And moving down to the bottom of the pants, you see there's a seam line down the sides of the pants as well, and then the cuffs on the bottom. Very cool that they also match his look from the movies with the mismatched footwear, an old brown boot on his right foot, and a grey sneaker on his left foot. Sneaker is casted in white plastic with grey paint over it. I'll keep the coat off to show the full articulation of the figure, and then put it on later to show how it works overall. Head is on a ball hinge, so he goes 360. Looks up quite well as down so he can see his toes. However, that means there's a slight break in the sculpt over here, looking a bit awkward from the side. Swivel hinge shoulder, so he goes all the way around, moving out a fair bit, more than 90 degrees. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, very good range, he can touch his neck. All the hands have a swivel, as well as a hinge inwards and outwards. He's got a ball joint on his mid-torso, as well as another ball joint at the hip, giving you good tilt sideways, right and left, crunching forward as well as backwards. Pretty impressive for ball joints. You might see a slight break in the sculpt here as well on the middle torso. He swivels all the way around at the middle of his torso as well. The ball joint at the waist might be a bit snug into the torso, so you might need some care when rotating at the waist. The socket is actually sitting in his tummy, while the ball is mounted on a peg supported on the waist piece. So because of the snug fit, you might feel the joint go a bit gummy when you're rotating the waist. So I didn't want to stress the peg that the ball is mounted on to the waist. I applied some silicone grease, usually used on O-rings and zippers, so this is friendly to plastic and won't corrode it. And right now I can rotate him at the waist pretty okay, so you might want to add some lubrication to it as well, just to take care of the joint. He's got a ball joint at the hips, so he splits like so, as well as forward and backward that far. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knees with very good range, he can almost kick his butt. He's got a calf swivel just under the sweatpants, so he swivels like so. Ankle tilt down as well as up, and then ankle pivot outwards as well as inwards. You can also feel the detent as you tilt the ankle. And since he has different footwear, I'll show you how his ankle tilts on his right boot, with pivot outward as well as inward. And putting his coat back on, he still gets a good range of crunch forward, but not so much backward, hindered by the hard plastic of the coat. So putting all his accessories and articulation together, you can get him into a half-serious fighting pose, very much in line with his laid-back character in the movie. Articulation scheme works great, and I really appreciate the calf swivels, giving you options to pose him with more stability in wider poses. Size-wise, Peter stands at 6 5/8 inches, or just under 17 centimeters. For size comparisons, here he is with the rest of the Spider-Verse characters in this wave, with Scarlet Spider, Pizza Spider-Man, and Mary Jane, with the Retro Series Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy, some more comic book Spider-Verse characters, with Venom and Carnage, Marvel Legends X-Men figures, and some G.I. Joe Classified series. Peter B. Parker is the flawed and jaded but wise and ultimately lovable mentor to Miles in the movie, so he's gotta be in the Spider-Verse movie wave. The sculpted web lines are great, but Hasbro needs to step up and paint them in. The ball joint at the waist is a bit too tight, and you will need to exercise care in handling to prevent the gummy joint problem. The plastic coat hinders some torso articulation, but it's not too big of a deal. I'm truly impressed with the head sculpt on the two head options. They just ooze so much character and expression. I'm also happy with the accessories, and the soda cup is really the icing on the cake. Hasbro is also smart to pack Peter as the extra in the case, and this has to be one of the fan favorites of this wave. If you're a fan of the movie, you should go right out and get him. For the casual fan, I'll still recommend Peter as a really fun action figure. Please like and share this video, let me know what you think in the comments, and also do subscribe to my channel for more toy reviews. Thank you for watching, take care and stay safe.